Hey filmmaker, Chung Dha here. So we are now at the Zhiyun booth with the newest gimbal, the Zhiyun Smooth 3 Lab. This is a concept model. This is also a prototype. This might come out and yeah, it might be a total redesign. We don't know, but this is especially cool to see them innovating here at IBC. So this is a cool, innovative redesign because a lot of people have been asking for the heavier cameras like the FS7, FS5, C100, C200 and C300 and EVA1 to be mounted on a single-handed gimbal. So this, even though I am using like an overhead support with this one, this can be used as a single-handed gimbal and putting this here against your chest for support. But that is one of the ways to use it. The other way, of course, is here, like me, on a overhead support, because this is heavy. So because if you are going to use it with really with those cinema cameras, it's gonna be too heavy to hold. So you want to have this overhead support to release the tension. So this I can push up with just one finger. So it is quite lightweight. So also I can release it and it's hanging there. So this is the way to go forward. I feel like this is actually like the first single-handed gimbal that can be mounted on like such an overhead support. It's also, if the camera is removed and everything, it's pretty compact. So traveling with this, you can put it in your backpack. You don't have like a gigantic case you need to carry around just for your gimbal. So for these is like an ideal for a lot of like traveling filmmakers with like the bigger cameras. Also, what's coming especially to this one, this payload will become 4.5 kilograms, which is enough for a lot of those entry-level cinema cameras. What's really cool about it is it will come with a double servo. So we have a zoom rocker here so we can control the zoom, and of course here on the side we have a follow focus. We have a connector box here on the bottom, so the connector box will be able to have an HDMI in, so you can connect the camera to the connector box with an HDMI and get a Wi-Fi signal to your phone, so you can use your phone as a monitor. They're working on making the gimbal as compatible with most of the cameras out there, making it possible to remotely change the shutter, aperture and ISO of the camera. One thing to know, this is not going to replace the Zhiyun Crane 2, it's going to be a step up for the heavier cameras. I like that they have added this tripod feet as a grip, because this makes it a lower profile. If you want to mount this onto a Steadicam for having like an extra gimbal on top, it makes it less higher and it's nicer lower angle. Plus, if you mount this on the car, it's also a lower profile than the other single-handed gimbals out there. Other thing, if you notice how I'm holding it, I'm putting this section against my chest or shoulder here. This makes it a little bit nicer to hold and less heavier, or less heavier to hold with one hand. So you can also nicely do the follow focus, and instead of like having so much to hold it out and then like trying to follow focus, your hands start to tremble, especially with a heavy setup. And this adding it to hold against your chest here gives a little bit extra support, so you can hold it much nicer and do that follow focus. The battery life of the Crane 3 is 18 hours and it uses the same batteries as the Crane 2. It now has a new quick release with a flip lock that is still compatible with the Manfrotto 501 plates. Now you can lock each of the motors so it's easier to balance, but also lock down the entire gimbal so it's easier to transport without it flopping around. The target release date is around November and the target price is around $1,100 US. However, all that can still change because this is still a prototype and we're getting a lot of feedback from a lot of users and professionals. In the future, it'll be a really interesting gimbal to see, especially as professional for filmmaking. Like, this is going to be a very, very interesting gimbal to get.